So in the late 19th century and the early 20th century, a lot of Indian women were actually making the journey to Britain and then back, and then to Britain and then back. Why were they making this journey? Not because they were tourists or they were like going to England. They were going there as nannies to the children of these elite British people who lived in the colonies in India. And when they wanted to go back to England, they would hire nannies, sometimes even just for the trip back. And in other cases, they had full time Indian nannies living with them. And I'm not talking about like a few hundred women who were used as nannies. The numbers were in the thousands. So initially, when the East India Company ruled India, about 90% of the English men were married to Indian women. But after the 1857 revolt, or the War of Independence if you're from the subcontinent, things changed. The East India Company now kind of looked at these interracial marriages as political interest, and they did not want these happening anymore. So firstly, we had that new pressure on these British men, which kind of looked down upon them marrying Indian women. But English women were far off, The journey to England was a very long journey. But then eventually, in 1869, the opening of the Suez Canal actually made it quite easy, in comparison, made it quite easy for women in Britain to go to India and settle there, because now the route back to England is quite short. So they can come and go. So now suddenly these British men are able to marry British women, and the British women are settling in India with these men. Now when they're in India, these British families are trying to recreate the norms of England within the context of the Indian subcontinent. And one of the things that, of course, with the Britishers coming, they lived in these huge mansions and had a lot of servants, Indian servants here. But what happened was that it was mostly believed that men are suited to these domestic tasks. But the British women insisted that when it comes to taking care of young British children, it is a female touch that they need, right? They think that women are better suited to dealing with children as compared to men. So they really kind of campaigned for these nannies or these ayahs to be introduced into these British family homes. So now this new job of the ayah was created. I mean, it was there beforehand as well, but this was created for the British. This opening kind of came where now the British people are exclusively looking for local women to take care of their children. And one of the interesting things about ayahs was, with the British, they really did try to segregate a lot of things, because as we know that even with slavery and all of that, there was a huge segregation in the Americas and even in Britain. So when it came to the Indian subcontinent, there was actually segregation here as well. And with the servants, the British really did not want the servants sleeping in the same house as them. But the ayah was the exception. The ayah would sleep near the children because that's her job, right? Taking care of the children. So the ayah became like an anomaly who would live within the house with the family itself in quite close proximity. But when the Britishers would actually take the journey back to England, so the ayahs would be getting deck class tickets and the British families would be getting first class tickets. Now, it was in the 1920s that there were some laws introduced which kind of made some commodities available for the deck class citizens, but for the deck class ticket holders. But before that, there were no beds or anything for people in the deck class. But in 1920s, that was introduced. In fact, this culture of taking an ayah or hiring an ayah just specifically for the journey to England was so common that by 1920s, the steamships also had these special lavatories or special workplaces called for Indian ayahs to take care of the children. The Viceroy of India allocated 5 double bunks to ayahs in a separate dormitory on E deck in 1928, one deck below the crew. In a way, these ayahs were kind of nameless because in the passenger list, they weren't listed by their own local names. They were listed by the name of the person who was hiring them. For example, Mrs. Wilson's ayah. Now, once in England, these ayahs and nannies, they're working for a while, but after a while, their services are no longer needed and then they're disengaged. So what would this local Indian woman do in England at that time, right? Well, turns out they would go to the Ayahs and Amma's home in Hackney, run by the London City Mission. The home's superintendent actually says that it protected vulnerable little brown ladies far from the tropics. This was kind of like a hostel, and it was also like an employment agency which charged quite a sum for the women to actually stay there. The India office, or the government of India basically at that time, would also use this entire home to kind of get back these ayahs and ammas which were no longer needed in England, and then they would kind of ship them back to India, and the process would repeat itself. Some people actually call this entire system a highly practical means of removing inherently undesirable non white women to their colonial origins. Even though it sounds like a weird kind of a story where, this poor little Indian brown woman is brought to England as a nanny and doesn't know anything. But turns out, historians talk about, but these women were actually an elite and premium workforce. The ayahs who would travel to England and then would, stay there for a while were paid considerably more than the ayahs that stayed in India. And even though sometimes these ayahs are painted as helpless little ladies who would then be, shipped back to India, but a lot of these women actually became quite independent and quite experienced, and would then go on to make this journey to England and back on their own multiple times, earning a lot of money. And a few of these ayahs, there are actually records of how some women would be very resourceful, and with the money that they've earned, they would buy goods in England for resale back in India, and would basically kind of running like a small import business. And even though, you kind of think that, well, they are a very disadvantaged class in England because, first of all, they're women, they're most likely not very educated, and, it's very possible that they're not treated very nicely, especially given colonial history with, slavery and everything. But turns out that these women did actually take action when their employers were not nice to them, because they would make appeals and complaints to the India office. Some historians talk about how this became like an Ayahs international kind of a thing, with Ayahs coming from India, from all different religions. There were Hindus, there were Sikhs, there were Muslims, many more. And then not just Indians, ayahs from the British Empire would kind of, diversify from other countries as well, including women from Colombo, Rangoon, Penang, Java, Singapore, Aden, and Japan. Now, one of the things that I found very interesting within the stories of these ayahs was that even though they have such, being a woman in that day and age, and also being a woman from the oppressed class, which were the Indians, they weren't British women who were given more rights, they still were able to find opportunities and find ways to thrive. And there are a lot of stories about these individual ayahs which also come to light, which I might share in some future videos. But for now, this was kind of an overview of how there's so many thousands of women traveling from India to England as ayahs and nannies and running businesses while doing that. This is the kind of history that we're not taught in textbooks. I never heard of it. And let me know down below in the comments if you guys knew about this beforehand. And as always, if you want to support this channel, you can go to our Patreon and become a patron. And make sure to like, share, subscribe, hype the video. All of this good stuff really helps us out as well. Thank you.